There's a lot of hubbub around Honda's new 2021 Goldwing. It was redesigned, stem to stern, and has made an impact on the motorcycle touring world. As we learned in our first ride review in Texas, the new G-Wing is as smooth, stable, and friendly to use as any touring bike we've ever tested. The whole staff agrees, it's a treat to ride. In planning a multi-day, 1,100-mile road trip to really get to know the Goldwing, it got us wondering what could face off against this touring titan. An American V-twin from Harley-Davidson or Indian might do the trick, or a big metric touring bike like Yamaha's new Star Venture. They're high-tech, sure, but conventional forks and lumbering twins don't quite align with the G-Wing's ethos. After some arguing and scoping website specs, we found just the machine. BMW's K1600 goes stride for stride with the Goldwing on the spec sheet. It packs a 6-cylinder engine, a funky front-end design, swoopy lines, and plenty of touring chops. The latest version of the K16 is the Grand America, equipped with a top box, integrated GPS, and heated seats for rider and passenger. Arguably the biggest difference between the Goldwing and the Grand America is that the Honda has made a big splash, while it feels like nobody is talking about the BMW. We settled the spec sheet debate with a roundabout journey from Sosul to Laguna Seca Raceway and back, answering all of the questions that are most important, we think, in this class of machine. The first thing you've got to do on a trip is pack, and one of the biggest complaints about the all-new Goldwing is that Honda sacrificed some of the mammoth, 150-liter luggage capacity from the previous generation for the sake of being sleeker and smaller. With two 30-liter bags and the 50-liter top case, the new G-Wing sports 110 total liters of luggage, not including the nifty front pouch in the cockpit, and we'll get to that. BMW's K1600 Grand America totals 123 liters, 37 in each side bag and 49 in the top case. Sleek, electronic buttons trigger the Honda's cases to open and lock out when the fob is far away. Lockable buttons open a mechanical latch on the Beamer's bags. Practically, what we found was that the BMW's luggage is better. A rolled-up aero stitch suit fits in one of the K1600's bags, but not the Goldwing's. Comfort, we always say, is in the butt of the beholder, and that being said, it's hard for us to claim which one you will like better. Luckily, the differences are clear to feel. The redesigned Goldwing has a wonderfully neutral riding position, upright, feet slightly behind your knees, and a comfortable reach forward to the handlebar. There's a wide seat, but it's not dished like a worn-out recliner, as on some big touring rigs. Overall, the G-Wing is relaxed, commanding, and an easy place to click off 100 miles in one go. BMW's K1600 Grand America is accommodating too, but more polarizing. Compared to the G-Wing, you feel like you're sitting in the bike rather than on it. The seat feels low. Our bike actually came with a 1.2-inch lower accessory seat, and the pegs feel high, even if the discrepancies are small. German as the K16 is, this Grand America leans a little more toward American V-twin ergonomics. Probably not an accident considering BMW already has the K1600 GT, a top box traveling machine with a similar chassis, but more sport touring bent. That also helps explain the odd, looped handlebar that brings the grips back toward a seat that is slightly narrower than the Goldwing. The dash and windshield on the BMW are prominent from the cockpit, in part because the K1600's face is wider, but also because of that low-in-the-middle feeling of the seating position. BMW also chose to include forward-set floorboards, another nod to the Grand America name, as an option if you want to stretch out your knees and let that plush seat do all the work, which would be understandable on account of the oddly tight seat-to-peg ratio. Sharp readers of the last few paragraphs will think, sounds like the BMW covers up more of the rider's body. Those readers would be right. Since the K1600 was announced in 2010, it has been an imposing figure on the motorcycle landscape, that is to say, it's big. The new Goldwing is sleeker and smaller than it used to be, and for that reason it might give up a little bit of weather protection. However, we need to clear here, don't avoid a Goldwing because you think you'll get wet when it rains. It still blasts wind away from the rider very effectively. Both windscreens adjust electronically. The Beamer's rises up a little taller in the rider's view, but the wind management is arguably best as soon as the air around your helmet goes quiet. To combat feeling smothered on a hot day, all K1600 models feature a hinged piece of bodywork on either side, just below the mirrors, that swing out and direct air into the cockpit. It's not a reason to buy a motorcycle, but it's a clever feature, especially on a bike, that can be punishingly protective of air. The Goldwing, on the other hand, has a small pop-up airfoil atop the dash that's supposed to help channel some wind at the rider when the screen is up. It works when, well, it works. General handling is a category where the two bikes are especially different. Both are easy to manage, it has to be said, but the character and feel are totally different. The Goldwing is a picture of stability. It almost feels like, if you set the cruise and bailed out, it would just go until it ran out of gas. We didn't try that, and we wouldn't recommend it. A rear tire with a wide and flat profile surely contributes to the Honda's rock-solid feel, and it is admittedly a little bit more effort to sling from side to side on a twisty road, but overall its manners are amazingly graceful. The BMW is more agile and also more skittish. Heavy crosswinds on the freeway, for example, got the K1600 dancing around a little bit, whereas the Goldwing was freight train stable. Carve down a canyon or through a twisty section of forest road, and the BMW really shines. It's incredibly light on its feet and settles into corners brilliantly. There's a lot more feedback from the front end, and to some people it will feel like instability, but in our experience, neither machine was ever unstable to the point of worry, and the fact is they both handle well enough that the limiting factor is ground clearance. We beveled the foot pegs on both bikes and even dragged the cylinder head guards on the Goldwing as well as the floorboards and the low-slung fog lights on the BMW. BMW's famous telelever system, used on the R1200 GS, is replaced on the K1600 by the less well-known dual-lever. The dual-lever system ties a girder-like fork to two wishbones that compress a single shock. It is similar in function to a telelever in that the dive that a conventional front end suffers from can be lessened via tuning the geometry. Honda's solution was a hose sack-like double wishbone arrangement which allowed Goldwing engineers to give their front end anti-dive like the BMW's. The cited reason, however, was that the G-Wing's new front suspension allows the front wheel to travel straight up and down, which made room to move the engine forward. Pretty clever. As for which one is better, it's hard to say. Like we explained in the discussion of overall handling, the Goldwing is ultra-stable, while the K1600 is much more agile and flighty. One big win for the team at Honda was deciding to leave the tire rods that connect the bottom of the handlebar to the top of the fork exposed. This means you can see the suspension in action as you ride along. It's interesting enough to watch that it's a little distracting. Still, damned cool. Both bikes have electronically adjustable suspension, but the Honda's settings are less noticeable. You can adjust preload for a solo rider, rider with passenger, rider with luggage, and rider with passenger and luggage with the push of a button on either bike, and while the Honda has more damping settings, one for each of its 4 throttle maps, the BMW's 2 damping schedules have a more pronounced impact on ride quality, so the bike is more adaptable. The Goldwing's LED headlight is strong, but, to borrow an old phrase, doesn't hold a candle to the K1600's brilliance. Where the BMW falls behind is the dash, which in 2011 was cutting edge. However, one of the most significant changes for the 2021 Goldwing is a revised dash that's simplified and significantly more sleek than the previous setup. The crown jewel is a crisp 7-inch full-color TFT display that makes the BMW's screen look dim and pixelated by comparison. Both bikes have equally vast and equally intuitive menu systems and controls, but as with any complicated interface it'll take a few hundred miles to get fully acquainted. Even though these motorcycles reside in the same market space and have comparable specs, there are some significant differences. The BMW offers more performance, more fuel, its 7-gallon tank holds an additional 1.5 gallons, more luggage capacity, and, if you get an unadorned base bike, the BMW even has a lower price. It'll cost you $26,700 to buy a Goldwing Tour or $23,195 to hop on a Grand America. That $3,500 is a big delta, but our bike obliterates it with the Premium Package and Safety Plus Package, which push the bike's MSRP to $27,015. Which, at this strata, is in the noise. Saddling up to a Grand America may seem like the sensible decision, but it's hard to reconcile the bike's odd seating position with the idea that this is supposed to inhale hundreds of miles at a time. The Goldwing is more comfortable, more graceful, and more appropriate for the kind of long-distance riding this category of bike is designed to do. We were frustrated by the clunky shifting and annoyed by the sticky latch mechanisms on the dash vent and frunk, but as a total package the new G-Wing is a stellar heir to the long-distance throne. Then again, if the K1600BS exciting engine, quickshifter, and other assets still appeal to you, there's always BMW's K1600 GTL. Rather than being Americanized with a low-slung look, floorboards, and a pullback bar, the GTL is pure German practicality and demands a look in this category.